Recording in progress. Okay. I'm Leslie Hammond. I work with the Home Care Alliance of Massachusetts, and we've invited our friends at Ostoform here to talk about a new product that they're real pleased with. I want to just give a shout out to appreciate them for their continued education and support of our programs. We've had a couple of different things in the last few months and always been well received, but we want to keep it quick to 30 minutes. So Matthew, if you want to take it away, Kevin, give us a little bit of knowledge this morning.
Sure. Well, thank you, Leslie, for setting up the webinar, working with us to introduce Ostoform to all of the Home Care Alliance members. But my name is Matt Bruton, and I'm the Director of Sales for Ostoform. And with me today is the inventor of FLOWASSIST and the CEO of Ostoform, Dr. Kevin Kelleher. So a little background, if you're unfamiliar with Ostoform, we're an ostomy supply company based out of Ireland, and we fully launched in the US last January. After attending the Home Care and Hospice Convention last year, we were lucky enough to become allied members of HCA in June. So we've been working with many of the member organizations to introduce new FLOWASSIST seal and two-piece pouches to their patients. We've had some great success stories and continue to build on those relationships. So hope to provide that same support to all of you here. But as I mentioned, we're lucky enough to have Kevin join us today to tell the story of why and how FLOWASSIST was developed. So he'll be presenting on the impact of hydrocolloid breakdown and its contribution to leakage issues, skin complications, and the development of assisted flow as the new go-to solution for nurses and patients. So with that, I'll pass it on to you, Kevin.
Thanks, Matt. Hello, everybody. Great to connect here. So I'll start with sharing a presentation. Did that work? See it? Yeah?
Yes.
Good.
Yes.
Okay. All right. Well, thanks everybody for your time, and yeah, great to be able to share this story with you. And it is, for me, this is about just telling some of the story and the background as to why we did what we're doing and where we are today. So the background, Matt introduced me as doctor. I'm not a medical doctor. I'm a biomedical engineer, and I did a PhD around kind of prosthetic design. I've worked in class 1 medical products. So that's products that are not implanted all my career. And at one point, I did an accelerator program. And that accelerator program is about getting, as an engineer, getting into hospitals and getting to see the problems in real life. And when that happened, I was able to understand the different problems in the area of gastroenterology, and ostomy was the area I was drawn to because of the high incidence of skin complications. And with the high incidence, I said there must be some other solutions. And the purpose of that accelerator program is to try to find solutions to clinical needs and potentially turn that into a business opportunity. So the high incidence of skin complications is no surprise or secret to anybody on this call. The piece, from my perspective, where kind of moved from the problem, moisture-associated dermatitis, and that corrosive effluent that contacts the skin. From there, what struck me was that the hydrocolloid materials, or the skin adhesives, are absorbent. So they absorb the corrosive output, and when they absorb the corrosive output, they break down. And when they break down, the corrosive output contacts the skin. So the thinking was, if there is a way to protect the adhesive from absorbing the corrosive output, well, then the adhesive can last for longer. So that's really the beginning of this journey. How do you protect the ostomy appliance adhesive from breaking down and absorbing the output? And it took quite a while to get from there to a solution, but you know, the impact, leakage, skin complications, disrupted quality of life, increased costs, they're all well known to you. And what we decided as a solution to that was to introduce a non-absorbent piece. So you take a standard ring, it's a hydrocolloid ring and you attach to it a non-absorbent component. This is the component we call FLOWASSIST. So it's a flexible non-absorbent piece that prevents the adhesive from overly absorbing the corrosive output. And because it doesn't absorb the corrosive output, it means that the adhesive doesn't break down. So the adhesive lasts for longer, which means it sticks to the skin and protects the skin for longer, resulting in healthier skin and improved patient quality of life. So it's a whole, from my perspective, a reasonably logical step-by-step way to come up with a solution to the problem. And so FlowAssist as a product, we've started with the FlowAssist seal, which was been on market in the US now for 18 months or a little bit more. And we have recently just launched the FlowAssist two-piece pouch. So we have a seal with this FlowAssist component. And then recently we introduced FlowAssist directly into a pouch, so that it's not, if somebody doesn't want to use a seal or doesn't want to use an accessory, they can still avail of the benefits of FlowAssist through a pouch. So in going back to the story of developing this, it started with bench testing and simulated use testing. And I don't know if this video is going to play. Sometimes it does, sometimes it doesn't. But the idea here, yeah, we'll skip it. The idea here is that we put FlowAssist onto a prosthetic stoma. I know these are perfect stomas, but just for like, we put a regular market standard seal on one side, and there's a fluid pumping out through the seal, and then the FlowAssist seal on the other side. And you can see over time that the seal begins to absorb and erode and degrade. And of course, with FlowAssist, that fluid is being directed away from the adhesive. So the adhesive doesn't come into contact with that fluid, which means that the adhesive remains fully intact. So that was the start of some of the bench testing. And then we did an early clinical study in 2019 with 5 ileostomy patients wearing for 2 weeks the FlowAssist seal. And in all the clinical studies we've used the ostomy skin tool, so discoloration, erosion, and tissue overgrowth being the 3 factors that we've measured. So that's a standardized, validated ostomy skin assessment tool. And we measured the skin condition at the beginning and at the end of the 2 weeks. And we were able to show, on average, a 26% improvement in skin condition in those 2 weeks, which is a small, a small group of patients, but to me, it just showed that there could be something in this. So that was our first version of the product, and we made some refinements or improvements to the design, and did the second clinical study with 12 ileostomy patients wearing FlowAssist for 6 weeks. Again, measuring skin condition at the beginning and at the end using the ostomy skin tool. And we've measured participants' ratings of comfort, security, handling, and discretion, just to get some patient feedback on the product. So the DET score in the second study on average reduced by 45%. So to give more background, the patients came in, they were all 3 months or more post-surgery. Some of them had skin complications, and over that period of 6 weeks using the FlowAssist seal, did a reduction in the skin complication level on average of 45%. So that showed statistical significance. And then patients scored highly for comfort, security, handling, and discretion. So yeah, we were encouraged by this. We were able to use this data to progress, to actually raise some more money and take this from a prototype to get a manufacturing line set up and get the product into people's hands in the market. We also did some more clinical studies. So a third clinical study with 20 ileostomy patients wearing for 4 weeks the FlowAssist seal. And in this study, a lot of the patients at the beginning of the study did not have a lot of skin complications. They're reasonably low. So in this study, we showed that we were able to maintain a low level of skin complication. We still saw a clear trend towards improved skin condition, but with very low levels on the DET score. So starting at an average of 1.2 and moving down to an average of 0.7. So still encouraging data in that we're able to maintain healthy skin. probably the way to put it. Also in this study, 71% of patients stated that the FLOWASSIST seal lasts longer than a regular seal. So this information has proved helpful, and we hear it quite frequently that the FLOWASSIST seal offers longer wear time. We've gathered evidence to that point. I'll come back to that. But before I do, there's a fourth clinical study with 19 ileostomy patients wearing for 3 months. And again, skin condition with the ostomy skin tool at the beginning and at the end of the study. And on average for this study, we saw 42% improvement in skin condition. So I broke out the patients one by one at the bottom here, so you could see the DET score for each participant at t = 0. So at the beginning of the study, which is this line, and then at the end of the study at t = 4 weeks. So you can see in some cases highlighted at the beginning of the study, this patient had a DET score of 5 and it came down to 0 with the FLOWASSIST seal. Here from 4 to 0, 2 to 0, 6 to 0, and 6 to 0 with the FLOWASSIST seal. And it's worth saying that all of these clinical studies were conducted by an independent clinical research hub, so I wasn't part of them. Although I was part of the first one, the initial testing, and the rest were done independent of Ostoform and of myself. But it was encouraging to see the possibility of getting the skin condition down to 0 in all 5 of these cases, and you can see in some of the other cases they were also significantly reduced from 9 to 4, 14 to 9. So to conclude on the clinical studies, as per presented, FLOWASSIST can protect hydrocolloid adhesive integrity. FLOWASSIST can last longer than other seals, and FLOWASSIST can provide enhanced skin protection. So we've taken a clinical need in adhesive breakdown of ostomy appliances. We've come up with a solution, and we've done some clinical studies to show that it works, as well as bench testing to show that it works. We've taken all of that, and we worked with a research group in Germany. I'm over here in Europe, in Ireland, and we worked with a health economic group in Germany. They do health economic assessments and cost saving assessments, and they concluded that FLOWASSIST could save £10 million or $13 million per year for the UK health system by the longer wear time of the product. Because FLOWASSIST lasts longer, it means that the patient is using fewer products each day. So if a patient's suffering from bad leaks and they're changing their appliance twice per day, FLOWASSIST can reduce that to once per day or once every 2 days. So the patient's using fewer pouches, fewer adhesive removal, and fewer other accessories, meaning that overall there is significant potential for cost saving as well as improved skin health. And we've done separate case studies as well in the UK market showing the potential for that cost savings. So we've conducted those in the UK, again showing savings per patient per year of around $3,000 per year, converting pounds into dollars. So just to take one extract from this study, on average, a tripling of the use of ostomy products is to be expected with leakage. Thus, by using assisted flow or FLOWASSIST with the appropriate target group, an extension of the wear time can be achieved, which goes hand in hand with lower material consumption or cost saving. And that's a summary of some of the work we've done in the background to get to where we are today. And I know Matt has been engaging with you all in the Massachusetts area, but it kind of summarizes some of the background in getting from a concept to clinical validation, bench testing, to a product, to a finished product, and then to expand that product into a product range with the pouch as well. And we have some testimonials, but maybe at this point, rather than going into some of the the testimonials or feedback, I could maybe pass it back over to Matt or pass it over for questions. So I'll stop sharing for a second and just see if there's any discussion topics.
Yeah. So over the past 8 months or so, I'm based out of Boston. So I've been able to work with a number of the organizations in the Massachusetts area. Ostoform does offer sample packages for healthcare professionals. So that comes with in-service trainings that we can do either virtually or in person. We have samples of the seal, the flat two-piece pouch, and the convex two-piece pouch in limited quantity. That is a brand new product. So many of you that I've been working with in the past haven't had that available to them, but that is available at distributors currently. So with those in-service trainings, I've been typically meeting either one-on-one with nurses. We've been doing small group in-services, or a great opportunity is the quarterly or yearly in-service trainings or vendor fairs. It's a great opportunity to have myself either stop by or join into a Zoom training. We also, a few months ago, launched our patient support service called FLOWASSIST. So that would be enrolling, the patient would either enroll themselves, or oftentimes the nurse will enroll them while sitting there with them. That service offers product selection support, personalized guidance, access to resources like fitting videos, support groups, and lifestyle tips. And many of our reps are ostomates themselves, so you're really getting one-on-one support. It offers another line of communication for the patient, especially if they're having issues or questions with fitting and either can't get a hold of the nurse, or I know that all the nurses are so busy, and if we can take one task off your hands to answer a FLOWASSIST specific question, we want to be that resource. So with that, if there are any questions, Lisa asks, can you address the insurance coverage? Yes, so all these products have codes that are covered by Medicare and all insurance carriers. So they're offered, or they're billed out similarly to any extended wear seal, and I believe the extended wear pouches. Correct, Kevin?
Yeah, that's right.
Is there any other questions?
Matthew, I know when you came and spoke with the clinical directors in the fall, you were able to give a demonstration of the product. What was the reaction to the clinicians? I know you've got some testimony from patients. What do the clinicians think? Easy to use, easy to teach?
Yeah, so the clinicians, honestly, the clinicians all had positive responses to it, and they oftentimes defer to the wound care nurses. They're the professionals, so they'll hear the clinical data and see the product, and it makes sense, and then they'll want to introduce it and pass it off to the WOCN, because they're going to be the ones using it, applying it. They're going to be the professionals in that setting. So oftentimes the clinicians will approve and defer to the WOCNs.
Has anybody on the call seen the product or had any experience using the product? I think it's probably in the early stages, but just wondering if there's anybody who has any feedback on it.
I'm Susan.
Yep.
Whoops. I'm Susan. I'm based out of Worcester. I'm a
Hi,
home
Susan.
care nurse, and I use it. Actually, we use them. My office uses them very frequently. We've had very good luck with them. And I have not had any insurance deny them yet. I have them on Medicare. I've had Tufts go through, And recently an Aetna just let one. I just put one through Aetna and I haven't had any problems with them and they've been working really good.
Nice.
It's great to hear. Thanks, Susan. It's good to hear. We also just went on to Vizient, the group purchasing organization Vizient. So it's available through any Vizient hospital that is on the Vizient GPO, which makes it, I believe that makes it that bit easier to get the product in any home health or hospital system that is subscribed to Vizient.
It is important to mention the seal. The seal is universal, so that can be used with any type of pouching system. I do just want to reiterate that. So if you have a patient that is very comfortable with their current system and they are not looking to move outside of that, it can be used with the Hollister, Coloplast, any type of pouching system, flat and convex. We have had the seal be kind of the go-to first introduction, so to kind of limit too much change. And then actually a lot of the VNAs and the home healths have really been excited to use the two-piece pouches because it has that FLOWASSIST already built in, so it's less steps for the patient. Especially new patients are open to trying that, especially with the longer wear time and the decreased leaks. So that's something that they're very interested in.
Another point, maybe just on stoma types, we it's a seal like any other seal or barrier ring, so it can be used with any stoma types. We see if a patient has a lot of leaks, a lot of fluidic output, that's probably where we see the most benefit. And then in terms of stoma types, flat, retracted, protruding, we do know of cases where it works. Retracted stomas, as we all know, are better, are that bit more challenging. But one of the pieces of advice that we give, and I was on a call this morning about this, for somebody using the FLOWASSIST seal on a retracted stoma, or if they maybe don't have great dexterity, one of the things that might work well is to put the seal onto the pouch first, close it, but it kind of fits perfectly into any pouch. There's no additional cutting or anything. So you can put it onto the pouch or the wafer first, close it, and then put it over the stoma. And for some people, with lower dexterity, it skips one step, and they're able to do it all in one movement. So it's just one of the tips that, from even a call as early as this morning, was a good solution to usability.
Lisa says in the chat that she has an ostomy clinic in her area and hasn't been exposed to it. So Lisa, I'll send you an email with the link to the products. But Matthew, let's make sure I get that in the newsletter again. How often is it okay to promote that free sample?
Yep. So the nurses can either go through me to schedule an in-service, and I will bring samples on site. If they would like to go to our website, ostoform.com, there is a sample page that they'll select healthcare professional and select the samples that they want. And then at that point, I will reach out and offer the in-service training. We can do either one-on-ones or, like I said, it's oftentimes in small groups. And I will either mail the samples to the individual and we can do virtual trainings, or we can set up an in-person training and I will hand deliver those samples.
Susan, thanks for the comment on fistula. You say you've had success with fistula, and that's now, we didn't initially, but we've just added fistula to our indications for use. So it's on-label use now because we've seen that a lot, and we just added fistula as one of our indications for use. And I think the reason it tends to work well for fistulas is, it's emptying out directly onto the skin. There's no spout. So FLOWASSIST offers that spout. It means that instead of, a standard ring or just a pouch, the output's constantly flowing onto the adhesive, and it's going to erode the adhesive with FlowAssist, we can prevent that. So it's kind of like a flush stoma, and it means that you get the chance to direct the flow away from the adhesive and into the bag with FlowAssist. So it does tend to have success with fistulas, albeit, you know, they're a challenging case a lot of the time.
Any other questions?
Does anybody else have any questions? Well, Lisa, I can send you, or no, you have my information. I can send you a link to that sample page if you'd like, if you would like to send that out to the group. There's also a couple of video demonstrations that I can provide as well that you can attach to the recording. So I'll get that over to you. And if anybody wants to reach out to me directly to schedule any trainings or look to any ostomy support groups I've attended, and those have gone very, very well. So if you're involved in any of those, I'm happy to present to those patients as well. But you'll have my contact information, so feel free to reach out at any time.
Yeah, I just see the comment from Laura, and that's interesting. One of the things, I just talk about this very quickly and then we'll stop. One of the questions that comes up sometimes is, how does it work when the patient is lying down? Because the spout is when the patient, when the patient's standing up. But the FlowAssist piece works not just where the spout is, but also each side of the spout. So it's kind of going up along the sides as well. And if you imagine when the patient's lying down, if they don't have FlowAssist, all of the fluid can gather and pool, and the adhesive is not protected. So the adhesive of the ring or the pouch is not protected. And that means it's exposed, and the risk of breakdown is greater. Whereas with FlowAssist, whilst the patient is lying down, there is still a risk of some of the liquid pooling, but there's a non-absorbent piece there protecting the adhesive. So it might pool, but it won't get to the adhesive in the high risk area, which means the adhesive should still last for longer. So we do see, and we do see that it can be very effective when the patient is lying down as well. We've had experiences of that. But I just wanted to, when I saw your comment, Laura, I just wanted to jump in with that. Almost brings us to the half hour.
Well, I will send out as a follow-up the slides, the recording, and the video trainings that Matthew will provide, and also a link to the free samples as well. Susan has.
Love these tips. Love these comments.
Yeah.
They're great.
Yeah. I'll put the tips in the notes too. So there are a few people that were unable to attend live, but they expect the recording. So the notes section will help.
Yeah, I mean, like I've used it, and it's not necessarily have the spout part going at 6 o'clock, because what might happen is, as my patients tend to start losing weight or gaining weight depending on their disease process, that then changes the body morphology or stomal plane of their abdomen, and then also their ostomy itself can then change, and the O's can suddenly start pointing in a different various direction. So by using this and turning it, if my patient's bedbound and say their O's is now like falling to the 3 o'clock or 9 o'clock area, now this helps that flow and not undermine and go under that, while I'm also using similar things such as my paste to fill in those nooks and crannies as well, before I'm then applying this ring. So it's actually been really helpful for both my liquid stool and then also urostomy patients I've had it working with as well, because it now stops that leak and keeps my patient dry and doesn't stress everyone out that suddenly it's leaking at weird hours.
Sure. Yeah. That's great to hear, Laura. Great.
Thanks, Laura.
Okay.
Great, everybody. Thank you.
I could talk about it all day, but that's the 30 minutes.
All right. Well, thank you, everybody, for coming. And this is part of our development series. And thank you, guys. We'll see, hopefully, everybody when are we going? April, to our big conference in Portland, Maine.
Absolutely.
Maybe I'll see you there.
All right.
Great.
Thank you very
Thanks
much,
very much.
everyone.
Thank you.
Bye bye. Bye bye.